What a weekend in Prospect at Hockenheim as the DTM opens for 28-18 and says goodbye to Matthias Ekström. Sadly, contesting his last ever race in DTM. And as the lights went out for race 2, Eduardo Mortara failing to get away. Also, Daniel Juncker-Deher failing to get away. But Lucas Auer getting away really rather too quickly. Adjudged to have jumped the start. That penalty would come. And here we can see that Lucas Auer most definitely did jump the start. The man that put it on pole position, though, was Timo Glock in the BMW. Great avoidance by all the drivers. But Lucas Auer having to come in to serve a 5-second pit stop penalty. So stops in the penalty box for 5 seconds before he was allowed to be released and for his mandatory pit stop. Gary Paffett driving very hard throughout the race. First of all, getting past René Rast heading towards the hairpin. A great job with that DRS assist. You could see the rear wing close following that DRS. He's in the early part of the race. And next in his target sights was the number 22 Mercedes-Benz of Lucas Auer, which he got past with relative ease. So Gary Paffett, who had a victory in race 1, was going to chase down Timo Glock. Matthias Ekström on the inside was a back-marking car which didn't play into the hands of Timo Glock and allowed Gary Paffett to get ever closer as they headed up towards the hairpin around the Parabolica. Timo Glock to the inside and Gary Paffett lurking not far behind. So as they went into the hairpin, Gary Paffett to the inside of Matthias Ekström and Timo Glock. That's how close they got, but then they were going to get an awful lot closer. First of all, Gary Paffett now into the hairpin to the outside of Timo Glock. Will try to get underneath him. There's almost a polish on the back of Timo Glock's car as Gary Paffett tried to make his way past the all-yellow BMW and indeed did so. But they would trade places and continue to do so for lap after lap after lap. It became one of the most compelling battles in DTM between Gary Paffett, the British driver, and Timo Glock, former Formula 1 star. Here at the hairpin once again with Paul di Resta getting ever closer and Joel Eriksson in his debut weekend in the DTM doing a great job in P4 at that point as well. So again, Gary Paffett having to re-overtake Timo Glock, and Timo Glock coming back on Gary Paffett here as they take to that turn. Gary metaphorically sticking his elbows out and trying to make his Mercedes-Benz as wide as possible. And Timo trying to do the same with his BMW. It was hard, a really hard fight between the two of them, but it was fair. But it did allow Joel Eriksson to get ever closer, and Mike Rockenfeller was lurking not far behind as well. So this time around, it's Gary Paffett that ends up in front of the BMW, or does he? Because Timo Glock comes back at him, and this, the best opportunity for Joel Eriksson to perhaps make some good here. But as I said, keep an eye on Mike Rockenfeller. He was lurking not far behind as well. So they continued all the way to the checkered flag. It would be Timo Glock that would take the win from Mike Rockenfeller, who ended up P2, and P3 went the way of Gary Paffett.